All right, what's happening, everybody? I'm your man Akeem, and welcome to the Sports News Insider Fantasy Football Blog. Here to talk about Week 4 of the NFL season and give you tips for this week's Fantasy Football League. Now, I need to start with Chris Johnson of the Tennessee Titans. He has not been doing anything thus far in the season. After the signing of this big deal, the $53 million deal, he has been doing nothing. He's been acting like he's just been taking the money and running with it, running away from the team. He's not even doing anything to show why he deserves this contract. Last week he had 7.5 points against the Denver Broncos. Broncos defense has been doing terrible thus far, especially against the run. Now this week Tennessee is going to be playing against the Cleveland Browns, the 29th ranked team in the league in rush defense. They're terrible against the run, so Chris Johnson should get some points this week. If he does not get anything this week, I think you should bench him probably for the rest of the season because we don't know what he's going to do later on. But for this week, definitely start him against the Cleveland Browns. He should get some points. Now, one defense I think you should definitely start this week is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why? Is because on Monday night they're playing against the Indianapolis Colts. And Kerry Collins, he's getting beat up, and Curtis Painter is his backup quarterback. So they really have no good consistency at the quarterback position, which means that offense is pretty much dead. And I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could do well against this offense of the Indianapolis Colts. So I should think you should start Tampa Bay this week. Also, going back to Tennessee, Kenny Britt, he's out for the entire season due to a torn knee ligament, and I think the best receiver in handy for the Tennessee Titans is Nate Washington. I think you should start him this week against the Browns. I think he could be Matt Hasselbeck's top target, and I think he's producing some good yards this season thus far. 248 yards of receiving this season so far, and I think he could maybe reach that 1,000-yard mark because of the loss of Kenny Britt. So Nate Washington needs to step up and be that leader for that receiving corps, and I think he could do well this season without Kenny Britt. So that's another player to start. Now, one big game that everybody needs to keep an eye on is the New York Jets against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, last week the Jets, they were just getting pummeled against the run against the Oakland Raiders. Darren McFadden rushed for over 100 yards. He had a big game, a couple of touchdowns. Denarius Moore had a 23-yard touchdown run. They just ran all over the Jets. So everybody needs to keep an eye on Ray Rice. I think you should start him this week, especially the game is at home in a hostile environment in Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium, and I think this is going to be a great game. So just keep an eye out for Ray Rice. I think a couple of people did ask me if they should bench him against the Jets defense, but based on the performance last week against the Raiders, I think you should start Ray Rice this week. And one other game you need to look at, the Minnesota Vikings, they're going to be up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Some people have asked me about Dexter McCluster, the running back for the Chiefs. He's averaging 6.6 yards per carry, and he should be that lead back for this team. I think he's going to have more opportunities to carry the ball. But the Vikings has a good rush defense, 4th ranked in the NFL. But I think you should still start Dexter McCluster because he's a good all-purpose back. Remember what he did at Ole Miss? He was an all-purpose back for the Rebels, and I think he could be a good all-purpose back, a good backup running back for your fantasy football league. So I think you should still start him because he's only like their main weapon for the offense thus far. Matt Castle could just not get anything going. 438 yards passing thus far in this season in 3 games. That's not going to do anything, and they need to depend on Dexter McCluster more. So I think you should start him this week, even though the Vikings do have a good rush defense. Still start Dexter McCluster. And another running back to look at, Tim Hightower. They're playing against the St. Louis Rams. St. Louis is last in the league in rush defense, and I think he could get you some good yards. I think he could get you some points, some good points between 12 and 18 point range, maybe even 20-point game. We will see. But I think you should probably start him this week. Now, a player that I think you should bench this week is Michael Vick of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's just been getting banged up in that line of scrimmage. He had a bad game last week against the New York Giants. He actually had to step out for the game due to a head injury, and he had to step out for the game. So if he should be available to start against the San Francisco 49ers this week. But the 49ers defense has a good defense, 3rd ranked team in the rush defense and 16th in the pass. And I think because they have a good defensive line led by Justin Smith, I think they can get to that quarterback and penetrate that line of scrimmage. So I think you should bench Michael Vick for this week and just to sit him out just to see what he can do. Now, as far as the San Francisco offense, I think the Philadelphia Eagles should just pummel them because the San Francisco's offense is one of the worst offenses in the NFL. They cannot get anything going. Even with former Pro Bowl running back Frank Gore. He's not getting anything. They're not developing a good passing game, and this is a problem for the San Francisco 49er offense. And I think Philadelphia Eagles, especially with Justin Babin being one of the top sack masters in the NFL this season, I think they're going to have the defense of Philadelphia is going to have a big game. So you should definitely start them, obviously, for this matchup. Now I'm going to catch you next Friday to give you my Week 5 tips for the Fantasy Football League, and I'll see you then. Thank you for watching today's vlog from Sports News Insider. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.